Good morning. How is everybody on this yet another beautiful day? Today I've got with me my friend Diane Oliver, who's going to be at our festivals with a brand new offering that I'm very excited about. I was just saying there, Diane, you know, it's lovely to have the yoga and the Shakti yoga, and you're like me, you've got so many things you can offer, but I'm very excited about this new workshop that you're bringing to the festivals. So how are you?
I'm good. I just lost you for a moment. I think my internet had a wee wobble to itself there.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying I'm excited about your new workshop, and I wanted to get you on so that I was talking to Juliet Nozzle yesterday about her new workshop, Spiritual Art, and people are just going to be wondering, what is that? So that's why I wanted to get you on to talk. I know that you're a flute fanatic and the beautiful flutes that you have, but also the alchemy of Om. And like I was saying to you, it's we've been doing a lot of work on the power of the voice and the sounds and the shapes, how it affects the body. So can you tell us, first of all, what inspired this workshop?
Oh, gosh. So I think it's kind of what it changed for me in my life in learning to work with the power of chanting mantra and beginning to understand that. I have had to do quite a lot of work around communication, about how to use my voice. I'm really shy about using my voice, and I'm really actually very shy about sharing quite deep personal stuff. And the learning to chant in a yoga class really changed my life. It just gave me that, and beginning to understand the kind of bit of the science behind it, and then discovering other ways.
Sorry, Diane, somebody's just come in. All right, okay, it's okay. Sorry to interrupt you there.
I know worries. Yeah, so and just discovering that how that vibration can really make a difference. So then I began to explore it deeper, and discovered, you know, working with tuning forks, working with sound pipes, working with chime bars, playing the flute's another way of dropping into that really grounding space. Working with the Om, of course, is a very grounding practice. So that's really what this workshop does. Is it's a kind of a fun way of exploring, because I think a lot of us are very shut down about wanting to make funny noise. Do you know, it's like we all grew up, children should be seen and not heard. Women, you know, you're too loud, you're too angry, you're too vocal, you're too all of that, and it closes us down. Or you were made to sing at school, and you know, you weren't good enough, or you thought you were all right and you got bypassed. So a lot of us have all got those kind of back issues, and I think I've been very lucky to have had some teachers that have really inspired me, and I want to pass that on.
Yeah, I think you've absolutely hit the nail on the head. And because I've started doing a lot of singing and, well, chanting and singing through the chakras, and you know, introducing the concept that each energy center has a key, and we can actually influence that energy center with the power of vibration, the power of the frequency and the shape and the noise. And that might seem a bit strange for people that don't understand what's going on, because I certainly never used to understand it. You know, even when I was in Malta, we used to go out to Hajarim, to the temples, and chant at like 5 a.m. And I loved doing it, but my conscious mind had no idea really what I was doing. And now I'm like, okay. And I think for the Western mind, to understand is it can drop the cynicism and at least help you to go, right, okay, that makes sense. So therefore, I will do it. It's the same with the drum, you know, the beating of the drum. Understanding that's going to change your brain frequencies and changes the way you perceive somebody beating a drum. So it's just, again, bringing all that information and putting, as my pal always said, putting the kilt on it.
I love that. Yeah, and sometimes because it's finding the hook for us. What is it about working with the Om that works? Do we want to know more about the mythology behind it? Do we want to know more about the science of how the vibration is set up in the bones in the body? Do we want to understand how it connects with the power of the breath? A lot of people are doing breath work. How does that relate to the Om? And it absolutely does. How can we work with it on different parts of the body? And, you know, also you know, I want to share that the kind of the instruments, if you like, the tuning forks, the flutes, the chime bars. But also, how do we work with that if we don't have all those fancy tools? We don't technically need those fancy tools. They are beautiful to work with, but let's just look at how do we do it if we're outside and think, oh, I really want to work on this part of my body or work on that meridian channel. How can I work on that without those fancy tools? Well, you can. You've got your own voice and you've got your own hands and you've got your own way of working with that. So it's just about getting a bit of what works for each person. So I'm hoping the workshop will touch a little bit of each of that so that folks' curiosity is piqued. Because it's about empowerment. It's about people learning to work. What works for you? It's not your body's your body. It's not mine. I know I can only share from my experience and that which people have shared back with me. But I really want people to discover that for themselves. It's really important.
Yes, and it's so interesting because I was listening to somebody interviewing Joe Dispenza saying, you know, so what, you know, why are you doing this work? And he said, oh, I had no intentions of doing this. This is what helped me, and then I had to pass that on. And Juliet yesterday was saying the same thing. Art was the thing that really helped her when she was struggling, and you're the same. And that's really what normally takes us in, because I always say, imagine you find something that really helps you, and then you don't share it with other people. What kind of human are you if you don't want to spread the great news? And we're so obsessed about, you know, the whole kind of academic side of finding out what's wrong, and we're not like going, well, you can write, you can paint, you can play an instrument. And again, it's not about competition. You can it doesn't matter how beautiful or whatever your voice is, it's all about the vibration. And that's one of the big issues I think that stops people from singing, playing an instrument, is that they feel that they're not good enough to do it. And it's completely not about that. It's just about the vibration. And obviously, the more you do it, the better you will get. So can you tell us a little bit around the science of the Om then?
So the Om, so there's 4 parts to the Om. Quite often we chant through 4 different letters, and you can visualize where those letters are in your body when we chant it, and they relate to some of the mythology around conscious and unconscious mind, birth, life, death, cycles. But in terms of the science, so I think Stuart will come back and correct me if I get this wrong. I think there's something like 52 bones in the palate and the roof of your mouth. So when you chant and you make different shapes in your body, in your mouth to make those noises, then it sets up that vibration, and that vibration transfers through the actual bone structure. Never mind all the energy and the side of things with that. So the Om is very grounding. The Om, so there's different aspects to it. So the Om is said to be the sound of the universe. If you took all the noise of the planet together, you would get the sound of the Om. But there's also been mathematical working out on that. So the sound instruments that I work with, the tuning forks, are tuned to 136.10 hertz, which is also the heart chakra in Hans Cousteau's cosmic octave chakra set. So he did a whole I'm not a mathematician, by the way, so you have to go and do your own research on that, because I read it and it bypasses me a wee bit. But he did some calculations about the distances between the planets, the time light travels, sound travels, and did a whole pile of calculations. And so that's what the cosmic octave chakra set is set up to be. Each frequency for each of the different 7 main chakras has a set frequencies, and many of them correspond to the planets. So the Om frequency for those is the heart chakra, which is what I love, because the heart chakra is such a beautiful way into working with sound. It's that kind of the gateway between the ethereal, the heavens, the sky, and all that universal connection and conscious, and down into the earth and all the physical reality that we are here embodied in this planet. And also it's the center of compassion and love. And if we can't show ourselves compassion to get over our fears, then how do we take that forward? And I loved what you said about the not being good enough thing and the whole stuff with flute. I want to share a wee story about the flutes in a minute, but so that's a bit about the science behind chanting in general and the Om from my perspective.
Fantastic. And so you want to move on then to the flutes?
Just a wee bit. So I was going to say there's lots of different frequencies out there if you get into working with the actual instruments. So some of the sets that I have are set up on the harmonic spectrum. So they actually have notes. So there's different ways. And so the flutes that I'll be bringing and working with are set to the key of F. So that's how they link back into that chakra. But the flutes, for me, when I was at school, primary school, we all learned to play recorder. It was back in the days, the whole school, 20 years ago. And I loved it. And I played it the whole way through primary school. And my teacher gave me a bigger, I think it was a tenor recorder. And I went up to high school and wanted to continue. And then my parents discovered that actually to go to a music lesson, you had to miss something more serious like maths or English. So it got canned, and I didn't have the skills at 11 years old to understand, or the emotional intelligence to understand that actually that was a real soul part for me. And so that aspect got shut down, and because I didn't have the skills to say to my parents, by the way, actually, I think it's more important than maths and English for me right now. So I was I had this resentment. I carried that bitterness all those years of being not allowed to continue something that I actually really enjoyed. And the flute for me has healed that, because when I first came across the flutes, I was like, oh, they're too good. I had tried to play the tin whistle. That whole caught up on trying to read music, trying to follow an actual the repetition and and the angst that goes with all of that. And so when I first met the flutes at Red Kite Flutes, I was like, oh, they're far too good. They're absolutely beautiful. How could I ever be worth playing one of those? But they sat in my background. Louise, who runs Red Kite, played the flute over the top of me, and I just found it utterly transportive. And 6 months later, I was on the phone going, send me one, I need one. And because we play in a 5-note scale, we play in a pentatonic scale, if we play in that scale, there is no wrong notes. You don't need to read music. You don't need to think about what's coming next. In fact, it's important almost not to think about what's coming next and just allow the music to flow through. And it's dead easy. I can teach folk in a few minutes. All the people I know that can teach folk in a few minutes. Just enough to get to explore that and build your confidence with it. It's amazing. Come and try it.
Yeah. And just to enjoy making these sounds. I mean, there's so many parts to it. Obviously, you breathe differently as well, don't you, when you play an instrument? And we're soothed by the sounds. And and the harmonics. I mean, it's just, there's so many facets to it that really impact the body and the soul. Fantastic. Now, like Juliet's, you're only going to have space for 10 people. We've got a big room behind the biggest room in the hall, where you're going to be, and then Juliet's going to be, and then Vida's going to be for the actual constellation. So, and what we just figured was it has to be first come, first served.
Yes,
because really there's no other way really to do it fairly, So what I'll do at the opening ceremony is tell people that's the situation, or maybe even you could just take names of the first 10 people that come towards you. I don't know, maybe think about that a wee bit.
We sheet out or something, we can
yes
it out. Yes. So I'm limited with the number of flutes that I have, and that's why that's limited. And then there's maybe 2 different aspects to working with the Om. So one of the things that I would like to do at some point is to share how to work with these Om pipes, these sound pipes, so that people who work in groups or work in space can build their confidence in how to take that sound. Because these bigger sound pipes, they share that sound in a larger space, which is really lovely for people. And then the one where we work more with the voice and explore the myths and the actual alchemy of the Om, that can be a bigger workshop. I can borrow some more toys.
Right, great stuff. Well, you can just keep me right, as I see you've got that space anyway to do that. And obviously, you guys having a stand this year again?
Up in Skye, yes, and I might bring some stuff to Tarbert if I can.
Yes, I think we need to look at Tarbert. Kirsten's actually going to go down and see. There's been quite a few developments there. Number one, a sauna on the beach. and there's a huge kind of gym space and cafe going in as well. So I need to know what options we have. But I also think that some of these stalls could be we're getting a bigger marquee this year, could possibly be in the marquee where people are coming in and out. But I'll work that out, and I just kind of need to get the heel-in done, and then I can really put my full focus at the festivals.
But yeah, both Roz and I are coming to Skye. So Roz is bringing her own stuff as Roz Simon's drums and her ceremonial tools. And also she has Sacred Notes. So she makes all these sound pipes and supplies all my tuning forks. So that's...
One of her passions is the trees, isn't it?
Yes, totally, yeah.
Which I feel so connected to that. It's just beautiful. So you guys are going to be there with your stands, both doing workshops at Skye. And the date is, do you know the date off by heart?
Skye, I think it's the 21st to 23rd of March. That's the February, Friday to
I'm
Sunday.
just going to put that in there. 21st to 23rd March, we are in Broadford.
I'm really looking forward to it.
And I'll put the link to the events. Yeah, it's like I'm saying, it's nice to have like the breath work and the things that we normally have, but it's so nice to bring in some new workshops. You know,
yeah, and they're all based on those key principles. They just
we're all after the same thing. We're just coming in at different angles for it. And you know, it was so bizarre because Julia and I had talked over the last year and a half about having more art, because I'm aware that there's a gap there, and also for playing instruments. And I just said it, we need more art. And then she messaged me with this idea, and I was like, see, instant manifestation.
That's wonderful.
So yeah, that's awesome. And can people buy the flutes from you?
Yes, yeah. So I've got all the flutes that I'll bring in the KFF will be there for folk to buy if they wish them. And Roz will have a bigger range on her stall as well of different notes.
Right, okay. Awesome. Yeah. I'll definitely get one this year. It kind of bypassed me last year. I think they were sold out, actually. That's what happened.
Yeah, we sold really quickly. We didn't really bring any. We weren't expecting that.
Yeah. So you're listening to this live or on the replay, and you would love to try Diane's workshop, then come and see us at the festival. It's 3 days. It starts on the Friday at 12 with a major opening ceremony, big breath work, and then we've got just a phenomenal lineup of fantastic people, workshops, seminars, all lined up. So it's great. You know, Nikki Brune, my pal, had said it's like a banquet of Heal Scotland stuff. And I thought that's really a good way to describe it, isn't it? It's a really good way to be introduced to a lot of things that you may not be aware of, because obviously like if you were unlucky enough to get sick or to get a diagnosis that scared you, who do you go to? Where do you go? What can you do? So the whole idea with the festival is, look, learn all this stuff before that would ever happen to you, and then hopefully it will never happen to you. But then you're way better educated, and all the things that you can do to self-soothe. And I think playing the flute is just beautiful when, and the drums. And I've been playing my drum a lot, actually. The one that I made, the big one that I made with Roz. I started just drumming at the breathwork, especially one of the breathworks where you don't do any retentions and I don't need to try and concentrate. So I can just bang the drum. And I was hoping that you guys would help me again at the opening ceremony with the drums, because I loved that last year.
We'd love to. We might see if we can bring the big gathering drum as well.
That would be awesome. Yeah, we really get some.
Also, we're doing what? I was like, oh, yes.
Fantastic. Well, we've survived January and we're getting through February, and then March will be the festival season starting. So it's exciting times. So thank you so much for bringing that to us. I don't know whether I'll get in. I might be able to spectate for a little bit. Anyway, do you want to play as a wee?
Oh, I could.
Yeah.
Why not?
Tell us a wee bit about that particular flute.
So this is in the key of F. It's made from cedar and mahogany. and it has 6 holes on the front. But we play with 5 of them, so that we're playing in that pentatonic scale. So I always keep the 3rd hole covered currently. And it's made by Red Kite Flutes, who are a tiny little family-run company down in Kent, and they're essentially made at the moment in my friend Louise's back garden shed by her and who works.
Too?
Say that again.
Do they make yurts? Did Hillary have one of these?
No, there's a Red Kite Yurts, isn't there?
Is that a different company?
Yes, I'm not sure. Are they the Borders or something? I'm not sure. I've seen some of their yurts over the years, but Louise is down in Kent, and the company was started by her husband, Phil, as a way of, mostly as a kind of hobby to start with. He was going through a bit of a hard time, and he started to make more and more of them, and his friends were like, "Oh, can I buy one off you?" And it spiraled from there. And so it's always been about a tool that supports and helps folk, and just
it's so nice when things happen organically like that, isn't it? Right, play us out then. Beautiful. Now, are you changing the note by how you're breathing there?
Yes. Yeah. I am. And so that's where it connects to your breath and your emotions.
Cool. That's so beautiful. Well, listen, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in Skye in March. I'm going to India the 2 weeks before that, and then I'm coming straight back up here. So I should be nice and brown and tanned.
Good. Well, a wonderful time, and well done for what you've been doing up in Skye. It looked phenomenal.
It really has been a dream come true. It has. Okay, hon. Huge love.
Looking forward to seeing you. Lots of love to you and everybody, and see you all in Skye.